welcome to Eden Fractal, our 73rd meeting. I'm pleased to be here with you. I hope that you're enjoying your day. I've been very much enjoying the conversation that I've been having with Evgeny and Rosmari and Eric and Tadas and Perry. We have an exciting agenda. We have lots of exciting topics. We're going to play a respect game, we're going to play Cagendas, and we're going to go over some stuff. So maybe I'll just jump right into the presentation. If anyone wants to say hello, feel free. It's been great catching up with Evgeny. He has some exciting updates. Maybe we'll hear it in the respect game. And yeah, everybody's doing really exciting work. But yeah, feel free to say hello if anyone wants to. If not, then I'll just jump right into the presentation and let everybody know what's going on. Thank you everybody for being here, and thanks for everybody watching. So of course you can learn more about Eden Fractal at edenfractal.com, and you can scroll down and learn more about all the innovative games and shows and tools we're creating. And you can also check out t.me/Eden Fractal to ask any questions or get involved. You can see the posts and you can find the RSVP link and so forth. I encourage you all to invite your friends. We're doing lots of awesome stuff here, and we'd love to meet more people and introduce them to the great Fractal games and so forth. You can also share and check out the show notes and videos at edenfractal.com/videos here. We have a bunch of episodes that we released this week, actually, and we'll be putting them up on this videos page. Right now, you can find them on the Eden Creators YouTube channel. The one that's most recently uploaded here is Regeneration Nation. I think we went over that last week, though. But yeah, check out the Eden Creators YouTube channel, because we actually released a lot of new videos this week, including some new video clips and the first Optimism Fractal event. So you can check out that, as well as last week's and the 71st Eden Fractal meeting. So we're finally caught up on a weekly schedule now. Big thanks to Rosmari for helping put those out there, and recommend everybody to check them out, as well as checking out the show notes too. When you go and scroll down, then you can see detailed show notes that are very well organized and so forth. So if you don't have time to watch the full video or listen to the full video, then you can scroll through and see all sorts of really cool stuff that we're up to, and find many helpful links there as well. We're going to play Cagendas after playing the respect game. So of course you can find this on the welcome article that we're still refining, but there's a little section about Cagendas here, the social coordination game. Anybody's free to make a topic proposal. I don't know if anybody else did so far. So far I've just put together some topics on the topics database that we have in Notion, which I'll share a brief preview about before we head into the respect game. So yeah, basically I put up a bunch of topics, really, really exciting topics. This is like a stacked meeting in terms of all the stuff we have to discuss. As a general overview here, the way this works, if you go to click open in this top one about agenda and topics overview, is you can go click there, and then you can find just some notes. I'm going to refine this more in the future, but some notes about how we play this game and how anybody can feel free to add topics here or directly on consortium as well. And there's links to that on edenfractal.com/welcome. But lately we've also been using the system as well, because it allows us to cover a lot of different topics, and you can find us discussing this and learn more details about that in that note, as well as the 62nd meeting and 59th meeting, where we discuss some more details. You can find show notes and stuff, but basically all you need to know is you can make a proposal on consortium as always, or you can make a post here on the topics database list. And maybe I'll just go into some of these right now to provide a little overview. So, well, first off, I want to mention and introduce and announce that we had our first Optimism Fractal meeting. It was really awesome. It was me, Vlad, Tadas, and Rosmari, and you can watch the video. It's now been released on the Eden Creators YouTube channel, and we're going to be hosting these every Monday at 17 UTC. These are meetings that we're using Fractal consensus games, like we've been pioneering Eden Fractal, but we built tools on Optimism, which is working with Ethereum and EVM. And we're working to help the Optimism Collective, which is a really awesome community all about creating public goods and helping to produce better infrastructure for the internet and stuff like that. You can find my post here in the Eden Fractal Telegram group, as well as several other Telegram groups, and the gov.optimism.io forum, where you can learn more about this first event. Basically, we shared an introductory presentation about Optimism Fractal, and then we showed people how to play the respect game, and people can join these every Monday at 17 UTC, as I was saying, too. There's also some links here where you can learn more. We also published some introductory videos too about growing optimism that were from Eden Fractal events. So we can get more into this, I'm sure, in the respect game and other places too in the topics. But just as a little high-level overview, in case people aren't familiar with the Optimism Collective and what we're doing with Optimism Fractal, we published a lot of helpful content about this in the past, and you can check out website optimismfractal.com. To learn more, as well as the Luma link, lu.ma/optimismfractal and lu.ma/edenfractal, to learn more about these events. And we'd love to see you there. And I'm happy to go into more detail as well afterwards. But just providing a high-level overview, so I'll leave it there for now. Another thing I want to announce here and give a huge shout out to Eric is the Fractal Palooza. Eric is hosting the first Fractal Palooza event that will be at 18 UTC today, so right at the end of the Eden Fractal meeting, coming up in about an hour and 45 minutes. There will be introductions and presentations from each fractal, along with the wins and challenges and reasons. And we'll hear from Eric and Dwayne talking about AW Fractal. I'll talk about Optimism Fractal, and I'm sure we'll talk about Eden Fractal there. Joshua has been building Primal Law Society, which is really exciting, so I'm really excited to hear from him. Gregory Wexler might join from the Psinq team. Psinq is doing huge work. Obviously, that's the rebranded version or rebranded new organization from Fractally, and then Upland Fractal from Space Wrangler Joe. I believe Aquadac and Guzo will also be joining too. So looking forward to that. Thanks so much, Eric. And then also on the agenda too, just really how overview, I'm going to be introducing Optimystics, which is the new kind of brand that I've been working with on for the Optimism stuff, launching Optimism Fractal with Tadas, Rosmari, and Vlad. And we can also talk more about the video series and some things that would be cool to discuss about that. And then also I wanted to briefly recap the open mic night that Eric hosted last week. And you can find the video here. Shout out to Rosmari who won. There's performers, there's all sorts of cool stuff, but yeah, I won't go too much into detail now. Also want to talk a little bit about a new schedule, just some slight adjustments for Eden Fractal, and then some other things that would be really exciting to discuss. Vlad came with a new Fractal app and video and article, and Tadas came out with new higher order fractal ideas too that I'm sure he'll go into more in the respect game. And then we could talk about new tools we might use, and then maybe some stuff about more about Optimism Season 5 opportunities and mastermind videos from Aquadac. But anyway, this has been a pretty detailed presentation, so maybe I'll stop the screen share here, and then we'll go to play the respect game, where everybody can share what they've been doing to help Eden Fractal and help the community and help communities cooperate with these consensus games. And then we'll hear from everybody and see what everybody's doing. And then we'll come back to these topics more when we play Cagendas in about 45 minutes from now. Hope you all enjoyed the presentation and learned. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here watching. And if anybody has any comments that you'd like to share now, then feel free. Otherwise, we could just jump straight into the respect game. Oftentimes we have enough people for 2 rooms, but since there's just 6 of us here, we have a nice little cozy time where we can have 1 breakout room. So we don't actually have to go and break out into any rooms. We could just play the respect game here in the community room. So if anyone has any thoughts on their mind that you'd like to share, then feel free to do so now. Or if you want to just jump into the respect game, if anyone wants to go ahead and share what they did to help the community right now, then that would also be welcome. All right, and it looks like people don't have thoughts about like, I guess, just other things on your mind. Of course, Eric, I see you joining us. So if you did want to mention anything about Fractal Palooza or anything else, then feel free. But we could also save that for afterwards too. But if you do want to mention anything over that game, then please feel free to do so. I see you unmuted there, so go ahead if you'd like.
Well, the big thing is the Interplanetary Unconference. So lots going on there. Big wins. We did the hackathon. And of course, the big winners were Fractal apps and Fractal tools, among other things, games and that. So what that means is a lot more governance stuff were a big piece of that hackathon, and in fact came out #1 for the new Fractal app. So thank you to people like Vlad and Tadas. I think we're moving ahead, and that was a big show of that. But in addition to that, launching the 3D space next week. So the first tour, such as it is, we did version 1, haven't made that public. This is version 2, so we'll see what we've got so far, but something for everybody to think about. 2 weeks after that, we'll be doing the governance quiz competition, basically. First one to find and answer the governance quizzes in the 3D Center for Governance. So I think it's important to have meetingscapes where people meet and share things in 3 areas. 1 is to have fun, 2 is to share knowledge, and 3 is to make decisions together. So we're trying to do a little of all of that during the Interplanetary Unconference. And of course, today we have Fractal Palooza. Well, You get to hear not all the fractals, but quite a lot. In fact, there's so many fractals. We have hardly any time for any to speak. There's so much going on. So there's a lot of things going on like that. So we did the open mic night last week. Today we have Fractal Palooza. Next week, Space Wrangler Joe will take us through the new 3D Center for Governance, and a lot of great events in the future. So stay tuned.
All right, excellent. Steve Restaurant clapping. Round of applause for Eric here. Great work, and thanks for sharing the update. Also, shout out to Vlad for building the tools, and it seems like he did quite well in the competition as well. So very glad to hear. And speaking of Space Wrangler Joe, very much looking forward to hearing about the upland aliens and learning more. But welcome, Space Wrangler Joe. Thank you for joining, and hope you're having a great day. And I see you unmuted. Feel free to respond to that if you like.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm just gonna listen today. I have to pop off for a couple of things, but I just wanted to make sure to show up and be here when I could.
But you will be here for Fractal Palooza, correct? Back again. Well, not here.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay, sounds great. So Joe, just to be clear, so I was just thinking, because we have 7 people right now, we're thinking about splitting up into 2 rooms and having 2 breakout rooms with 4 people and 3 people, but you said you're mostly going to listen. So would you prefer if we just, maybe we'll just stay in one breakout room and we'll have the 6 of us and then you won't participate? But if you want to participate in Respect Game 2, then we can also split up. I just...
Yeah, no, that'd be great, because I do have to pop off for something at 9:45, so I would have to like pop in and pop out. So yeah, it's probably better if I'm like out of the loop with this today. Unfortunately, I'll just have to listen while I can.
Okay, cool.
He's too busy building the new 3D Center for Governance space. That's what it's all about.
Ooh.
That's part of it, that's for sure.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'm excited to see the 3-day Center for Governance space. That sounds awesome. And yeah, I was speaking with Joe yesterday about all sorts of cool tools he's been using, so I'm sure it'll come out really awesome. Joe's a great builder, great artist. So, all right, well, how about we get into it then with the Respect Game? We're already a little bit past time. And one thing I mentioned briefly during the introductory speech or presentation that I could just mention here and go more in detail about is that we are planning to get more punctual with the meetings in the future, and planning to get a more defined schedule. Basically, rather than starting at 15:30 UTC, I think that it'll be best to start at 16 UTC to accommodate for people's schedules, be more respectful of time, and make sure that when we have events before or after, then it's kind of more easy for people to schedule it. And with that too, I'll also work to make it much more punctual. We're starting the Respect Games right on time and we're getting right into it, so that we're providing the best experience possible, and also making it like a neutral place where basically people have the same amount of time to participate and play games and like that. We can get more details there, but I figured I'd just mention it because lately we have been getting a bit started late. But yeah, basically it's 24 minutes past the hour, and so we'll do the Respect Game. We could be pretty casual about it. Maybe we'll finish it by the top of the hour, or maybe we'll go 5 minutes past or something like that because we're starting a bit late. But anyway, if that sounds good to everybody, then we'll get started. And would anybody like to go first and share what they've been doing to help the community? Or just anything you've been up to that might be helpful. I see Evgeny unmuted, so if you'd like to go first, Evgeny, feel free.
You asked me to begin. Yes, this week as always, I was working to spread the news about EOS and information about EOS in the Russian-speaking community. I made some translation about an article about DeFi box, translated some tweets and made some tweets and posts. And the main thing, as I already told to Dan, I began to work at a very interesting project in EOS community, in EOS blockchain. It's called PayCash Swap, and it's DeFi project that has its own stable coins. They has several stable coins, for example, Russian rubles, Ukrainian hryvnia, and dollar, and they have stable coins with different pect. For example, one stable USD cash, it's pegged with USDT, and they have two type of Russian rubles. One is pegged with, if I'm not mistaken, with USDT, and the second with real Russian rubles in the bank. So they have AMM swap and a lot of different things. And I started to work there to spread information about them. And now I went to Brandon Lovejoy to ask him introduce this project in ANF, and he invited me to subscribe form on ANF website ecosystem page of EOS project, and I did it, and I started to write a big article about all the services of PayCash, and I think that's all in this case with PayCash. And sometimes people from Russian-speaking community that developed something on EOS blockchain came to me and asked to find people in EOS community to communicate with, to promotion their project or for funding maybe. And today I met, maybe you know, several years ago there were a very famous programmer Dexaran who crashed EOS blockchain in 2018 with some manipulation with Rex, and he built a new project on EOS AVM, and he asked me to help him to make some promotion for this project, and I help him a little. So that's all. Thank you. My next window is Dan. Maybe Dan will continue.
Thank you very much, Evgeny. And once again, congrats, and glad to hear about your work with PayCash. And thank you for sharing it. Very much really appreciate it, and looking forward to seeing all the great things you'll do with PayCash. I have been speaking a lot, so perhaps if Eric or Rosmari or Tadas or Perry would like to go first, then feel free to do so.
Sure. Of course, is promoting governance and governance tools and all the philosophies and methods. So number one has really been focusing on the Interplanetary Unconference. And as I mentioned, I hosted the hackathon. And so we had, I think, 33 entries. And we had voting. And so a lot of those entries came up that are here, like Joe presented. I presented about the Center for Governance. We had all our favorites here on the governance tools did well. So, you know, promoting that by trying to get funding and proposals for good stuff people's doing. The other thing is we moved ahead on planning the proposal office hours. So hopefully, Dan, you'll be there to help people. It'll be on a Wednesday, same time. And we're just offering expertise as part of the Center for Governance Proposal Support Office for people to get help coming up with ideas, clarifying their ideas, and submitting ideas in multiple ways. Wherever you can submit an idea that supports governance, whether it's EOS or Trillium or whether it's Optimism, we're doing that. So we work forward to make sure that we identify the good work that people are doing and help them get it funded. And then, of course, the other thing is hosting the governance events, which talk about fractal governance, such as the Fractal Palooza, which we schedule, but is worked on last week, which is going today. Also, I really focused on how do we roll the stuff we're doing here into the real world. So this week is San Diego Startup Week. And so I've been talking to the executive director. They gave me a free ticket after they liked what I was saying, to talk about governance within organizations like that. And surprisingly, somebody goes at the conference was saying, I really need to use this method. He was thinking coming up with a whole governance system for basically theater. And I said, well, it's interesting you mentioned that. We're doing that same thing. So he might be at the Fractal Palooza. So again, trying to evangelize out, moving that in the real world. Other than that, just moving ahead on my dissertation. Should be done with chapter 1 of my dissertation this week or next week, which includes all this stuff in it. So with that, the next one around the circle for me is Rosmari.
Great. Thanks for sharing, Eric. Hope everyone's doing well too. And I'll share my screen to show you what I've been working on. Right. So my main contribution for this week has been the editing and publishing the last couple of even Fractal videos. For example, going from EF 70 to 72, which is the one from last week, as well as editing and cutting short clips from our discussion about growing optimism series. The series we've come up recently, but I've picked sections and moments that we've talked about optimism and decided to include them in this collection, which I'll keep adding on more to. And I've got 2 clips from EF 66 meeting and 3 clips from EF 67th meeting. And I'm going to be continuing to review the previous Fractal meetings and cut more clips. And then we'll be talking more about that as one of the topics too, because this is a new initiative and I want to hear feedback from all of you, what you think about that. And then the other big contribution has been the rollout of Optimism Fractal, and with the first meeting which happened on Friday, and I edited that video and posted it. And I encourage everyone to watch it and also join the meetings, which will be happening every Monday at 17 UTC, called Optimism Fractal. And then we also made a post on Optimism Fractal where I worked alongside Dan to form the text within, and works more so on the images and the posting of it. And I also invite everyone to follow our Twitter account, which is at Optimism Fractal, and check out our thread right here with cool images and a nice invitation and links to also join our Discord. Over here there's a link for that. And also been working on this website, the about page. This is also the artwork and the logo. I think the logo was created 2 weeks ago or something, like a week ago. And I worked on kind of sharing the story of Optimism Fractal alongside these nice images. And so there's a bit of copywriting there. And worked on the logo of the Optimistics, and I hope you like it too. And so also worked on the bit of the imagery here, and this is all still in draft. Looking forward to present to you more of a polished version in the upcoming days and weeks. But this is what we have now, and there's more to come. And I also brainstormed on how to go about the Optimistics retro PGF application, which now is submitted since yesterday. And I worked on this cover image and logo here, as well as just providing some feedback on some of the metrics like the YouTube video views and impressions. And I found out about this tool, Opus Clip, which is really useful for cutting clips and making adjustments to as you go to specific sections. So I'm due to work more on and exploring more of this tool, but just wanted to share with everyone that is a useful tool for content creation. And then for Discord, we created our Discord channel for Optimism Fractal, and also invite everyone to join. I'll leave out the links in the description or the chat here. And just yesterday was welcoming members and making interaction. And also yesterday I joined the meeting of Aquadac, hosted by Goodoso, and the topic there was content creation. So I did a presentation of the tools that I'm using as part of content creation, and such as Runway, Canva, also Midjourney, and a few more. And I'm thinking about exporting this in the future and repurposing it. So this is from me. Thank you. Oh, and also I forgot. This is I created a bunch of related art about Optimistics and different versions of the logo. For example, I like this one a lot, and customizing it to our best way. And also create some other images for Optimism Fractal.
Wait, did you forget something?
No, I don't think so. Maybe, but this is
I don't know. I don't know. I think you won a contest last week.
Oh yes, I did. I also participated in the open mic night hosted by Eric, and I won. Thank you.
Yay! All right.
Woohoo! And you sung a beautiful song, a cover of Whitney Houston. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, that was very nice. Very nice. Okay.
I agree, and thank you for the reminder, Perry. Thanks for the great presentation, Rosmari. Would you like, if there's nothing else, would you like to pick somebody else to go next?
Oh yes, right. I pick Perry.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, this is going so well. I hate to make my share right now. God, how can I do that to the beautiful mood? We just had a beautiful share. We just talked about the contest, and now I'm going to do what I'm about to do. I can't. It's very hard for me to do that. But I want to read my response to being the target of a dispute resolution process at UpScale. So I think I need to read my response to that. And if you want to close your ears, that's fine. I understand, but I want to I want to make that. And to do that, I have to get really close to the screen with my glasses to read it, and it's not very pretty. So that's gonna look like that. So I'm gonna hide my video for a moment. Okay, here we go. Okay. After getting the initial accusation or claim. It's called the claim. I wrote a few things, and then I wrote this. I welcome the dispute resolution process as an exercise for the community to understand how it works, where it falls short, and how it can be improved. Many of our related analog communities will be watching this process unfold with interest. I also welcome it as an opportunity to bring attention to the current state of our DAO with regards to censorship. Please provide proof that the Telegram recent actions feature can provide a check to the power of some admins, including, and most importantly, the account that holds the owner status and or API permissions to censor. Without that solid proof, it will be difficult for the greater membership to accept the process as valid and unbiased. It needs to be noted that the same individuals that have perpetuated the acts of censorship during this term and the last two terms that has led to this claim are among the current admins when my admin status had been removed. Now that my admin status has been restored after being given excuses as to why it could not, I will repeat my call for the owner status to be moved to the head chief delegate. Again, please provide proof of who removed my admin status and when. Saying that the log only goes back so far is not sufficient for a dispute resolution process. I think the first thing we are learning at the very onset of this process is that there are inherent conflicts of interest that exist when members with admin rights submit disputes that are processed under the influence of those same rights. We can learn a lot about a dispute resolution process, but we cannot do so without these conflict of interest being resolved first. Anything that follows without addressing this central issue is pure folly. A process that censors the defense of a respondent for making claims of censorship would be suspect on its face. And then the following day, after having not received any response to whether they can prove who and when removed my admin status, I wrote this. You are still unable to tell me who removed my admin rights and when. Please see my previous statements. Again, please provide proof of who removed my admin status and when. Saying that the log goes back so far is not sufficient for a dispute resolution process. There are inherent conflicts of interest that exist when members with admin rights submit disputes that are processed under the influence of those same rights. Because you have now proven that you can't prove the last acts of censorship that we can all see occurred, namely the removal of my admin permissions, I cannot in good conscience proceed with a process that is actively censoring, including my objections to being censored, which is something you have been doing. Excuse me, allow me to interrupt myself. This is addressed to Mo. Mo is the one that made the claim. So I'm actually speaking to Mo. So I'll repeat that. I cannot in good conscience proceed with the process that is actively censoring, including my objections to being censored, which is something you have been doing for some time with not just myself, but other leaders in the community. A mockery is being made of what started as an honest attempt to push forth the envelope of decentralized autonomous organizations by doing the exact opposite through censorship and centralization, which you are now using to raid the remaining treasury for your projects. Until an uncensorable and unbiased forum emerges, I will also be objecting to plans of draining or borrowing against the treasury and responding to the claim the way it deserves on my own terms at my own schedule. After censoring and centralizing power into your own hands to then halt the contracts that distribute delegate funds and raid the treasury as you have been planning, you would effectively tried and convicted yourself in the eyes of the community. Like I've said before, this won't take a dispute resolution process, as this would be evident to all members. Almost done. To those who may have been drawn into this for reasons as simple as just trying to pay your bills, or was surprised to realize they had been voted a chief delegate and are not part of a drive to bastardize and loot what remains of Dan Larimer's last work in our community, please recognize that there may be a larger story behind this effort than meets the eye, and that your interests may be best served by remaining clear of the destructive rug that is in progress, which in the future may receive a lot of light. That is all I will say. Act accordingly. Okay, good times. We're talking about fun. This is just, wow, what an amazing fun time we're having. I had to read that. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, I was charged for that, and they're trying to keep everything secret, and it's not going to happen. All right, there I am. There I am. Just yeah, right there I am, right there. Right there. Hi, guys.
Well, thanks. I don't know why you're pointing your camera up. Thank you for sharing. But how come? What's that? What was that?
I'm just having fun. I mean,
Okay, have fun. Okay, clearly very fun. Well,
that's my share. As before, I'm continuing to work on DNews and the next release. Something I can't talk about, of course. But that's what I've been doing this week. I've been recording the meetings themselves. So I've now moved into a position that I have decided to record every meeting, because I'm attending each one of these UpScale meetings. So I'm actually recording them, and in their unedited form, they will be part of the DNews release, because the current ones are disappearing on the UpScale Telegram chat. That's been going on for months, and I've been observing it quietly without saying anything, watching those things disappear while I had already downloaded. So yeah, there's a little bit of surprise in the future here for some people. So those things have been disappearing. I have them stored, and when I release DNews, we'll be able to see all those. So okay, so who's left? I think there's only one person left, and that would be Tadas.
there's two. There's Tadas or me.
What's that?
There's two. Neither Tadas or I have gone yet.
Oh,
But
that's right.
if you want to pass on to Tadas, then go ahead.
Well, okay. Tadas, your turn. You're up. Yeah, how about that for a warm-up act?
Tadas, we don't hear you right now. You're not muted, but we don't hear you. Okay. Well, why Tadas is troubleshooting that. Oh, I see you unmuted there, Perry. Or something you want to add? Yeah, if not, I can respond as well. Or if Tadas, feel free to let us know whenever you get your audio. Or if you prefer, then I can just go ahead with my my presentation, what I've been working on first. But anyway, to respond to your point, Perry, thanks for sharing. And I was looking for the first video with the chief delegates call in Telegram, because I saw you posted at one point, and then I saw it wasn't there anymore. So I noticed that some of the videos weren't there, and well, I could share more about it, but I think that Tadas has his audio working now. I think I heard Tadas's sound.
Can you
so,
hear?
yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. So this week my main contributions are, first of all, I made last finishing touches for launching OP Fractal. So we deployed smart contracts on Optimism mainnet. We had the first meeting, which like became a kind of introduction, good introduction that we will share, and Dan already shared it. Yeah, and I helped Dan a bit with RetroPGF application. We refined the mission statement, and besides that, besides the Optimism Fractal stuff, I've been working last few weeks. I've been working on something like that I call higher order fractal idea. So this is about how we have all of these fractals, and the idea is to create a fractal composed of fractals. So each of those fractals that we have, we could elect a representative that would go into this, what I call higher order fractal, present what they did as a whole fractal, as a group, and then there is another process where these fractals would virtually rank each other. Yeah, and so there would have to be some changes made, but I think I covered most of them, and I think there would be a lot of benefits to doing this, starting with like useful data points of comparing different fractals, different consensus processes, because different fractals are starting to like make changes to how we are working, and this would be like this higher order fractal could provide help in evaluating these different processes, and I think it could like make for a fun event where people are presenting not like their weekly contributions, but maybe monthly work of a whole group of people, and essentially this could become like presentations of products, as opposed to simply like promises of work being done like we typically have. I cover more benefits in the post. I shared it in the chat, and there is another related idea which is about like how Eden fractal could become a higher order fractal if it wants to go in that direction, where I can see counter arguments for that. I did not cover all of them in this post, but just wanted to throw it out there as an option. Yeah, so yeah, I made these posts this week. I shared them in the Zoom chat, and these are my contributions this week. Dan?
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Tadas. I'm very excited to dive in deeper to the higher fractal ideas and learn more about what you're planning there. And also, thanks so much for your work on the intent document too. And I don't know if you mentioned that, but that was also super helpful, as well as all your help with Optimism Fractal getting it started. And thank you so much, Perry and Eric and Evgeny and Rosmari, for sharing all your wonderful contributions as well. Really great to hear. And I suppose I'll get started with sharing what I've been working on. It's already been kind of hinted at a little bit from Tadas's presentation and Rosmari's presentation, but I'll give my angle on and provide some more details about stuff that I've been working on to help Eden Fractal and help grow fractals, help grow fractal communities, and help make the best experience possible for everyone here and everyone watching. So the main thing that I did, I suppose I could summarize it into Optimism Fractal and Optimystics, and then also joining some events and helping some events. But yeah, maybe I'll just start off with Optimism Fractal. So as we were just mentioning, we've been talking about a lot for the past few months now. I've been working a lot with the Optimism community to start up a new fractal. I think that this is a huge opportunity for everyone at Eden Fractal and everybody who's interested in growing communities, and also helping Optimism, helping Eden, helping everybody. I think there's a really awesome alignment. So yeah, well, so this is optimismfractal.com, and Rosmari shared some of this website already, so I won't go over it too much, but I worked closely with Rosmari on just like refining this and making the art quite nice. It's still a work in progress, and I also like built and designed the layout for the website too, so I kind of put together some of these parts along with Rosmari, and then I put together like the media and details and contact and RSVP pages and so forth, as well as like a footer and stuff. Still putting it together more in detail, and I also put in the event page. I hosted the event and provided an introduction during this event with Rosmari and Vlad and Tadas, and was coordinating with them very closely throughout the entire week to make it as successful as possible. And it was a really awesome start. I see Rosmari sharing some links in the chat, so thank you very much for sharing those links. People can check it out there, and I'll mention them as we go. This is lou.ma/optimismfractal. People can RSVP and go into more detail. I also worked on, I think I presented some of this last week, but one on the media page, I put together an article called The Roots of Optimism Fractal, which I had previously written for the grant proposal that we did a month and a half ago. And so it's not really, well, some of it's new. I refined it a lot, and I sent it to a community leader in the Optimism community who I spoke with, who was hosting the Optimism call. But I put together this article as a way to introduce it, what we've been doing with Optimism Fractal, It's at edencreators.com/Optimism Fractal, and I'm also going to be kind of refining it and also moving it to the Optimystics blog and some other places as well. But that kind of provides a high-level overview as well as some previous videos. A lot more that we did this past week that I'll add to it as well. But that's one thing. If anybody's curious about what we're doing with Optimism Fractal, you can find a lot of helpful information here, as well as we've discussed in past Eden Fractal meetings. There's much more there, but just a quick high-level overview now. And yeah, I also put together the Discord, started that up, and worked on just setting up a lot of the links to make everything work and get everything going well. And then I put out an introductory message. I put this out in the Optimism forum and Discord to attract the Optimism community, this really thriving community of great innovators to fractals, and introduce them to Eden Fractal as well as Optimism Fractal. And then I also promoted it in the Fractal Joy Mighty Network and a bunch of chats like the Fractally chat and so forth to help everybody who's interested in fractals be aware of these. I worked hard on just making this language as like refined as possible and making an awesome introduction for everybody, and also worked with Rosmari on she did most of the image, but I also helped refine it and just make it pop a bit more and stuff like that. This was oh, and then I shared this with Michael, who hosted the community call. I shared most of this last week, so I can go into more details of updates about that later, but not so much contribution for this week. I also made the intro video for the Optimism Fractal video, so I don't know if it'll have sound. Rosmari picked a nice song, but I did a lot of animations here to make it so like it looks really cool, and it goes with the Optimism City in the beginning. And then I also worked on getting a background and stuff to make it quite nice. So I did that, and I also worked on the intro video that Rosmari was saying. She edited a lot of these video clips, so I made an intro video for Growing Optimism here, where there's like some little visual effects here with like zooming in. There's also nice music here too. So just to make it really nice, this was a video, like a 10-minute introduction where we talked about Optimism Fractal in the 66 meeting. So that's a good introduction for anybody who wants to learn more about optimism and why we're so stoked to be collaborating with the Optimism community and why we see like really great benefits. But yeah, we're working on those intro videos was really a nice thing to do. And I love making like little animations like that, and also bringing together nature and the ideas of growing optimism, which is one of the kind of mottos or themes that we've been going along with, this idea of helping with the optimism of fractals. The major thing that I've been working on for the past few days is the retro PGF application for Optimism, and this was due by 2 days ago. So we submitted it, and everybody here I think is pretty familiar, but if you're not familiar, we discussed this in several meetings. This is the retroactive public goods funding, a major funding initiative to fund public goods on optimism, and they're helping the open internet in general, and Ethereum as well, and EVM blockchains, including EOS EVM, but specifically focused mostly on optimism. And so this is what we applied to, and when we made this grant and we put together this Optimystics brand, that's all about growing optimism with fractal communities, tools, games, shows, and events. And I worked to refine this also with a lot of feedback from Tadas and Rosmari and Vlad, to put up a bunch of these links in the website so people can learn more on the right side, and then also a little high-level overview, because you don't get much space, so you just have to write something that's very short and simple about our contributions to help optimism. So we're talking about just summarizing what we've been doing with Optimism Fractal and Eden Fractal and building the OP Fractal tools, and then also like summarizing the impact and how it's helped optimism so far, as well as a little bit of like funding information and impact metrics too. There's links to each one of these too, and I can share a link in the chat. Maybe I'll share a link in the chat so people can read it and look into it more in detail. But that's something I worked on a lot this week, as well as getting all of these links ready as well for the GitHub repository and the web app that Vlad built. He shared to Vlad, and then all the different like articles and blogs and stuff. Some of these links are still in development too, but they're at least there for now. And people can also, of course, learn more at optimism.io to learn more what we're doing there. And then as part of that, like you can click each of these links, and I already showed you the Optimism Fractal website and the Eden Fractal website, which you've seen many times before, but worked on the Optimystics website. Rosmari shared. This one's still in pretty early development, and she put together a lot of this art, but I also built this website as far as like the structure of it. So I put together a blog page. I'm starting to put together an events page and like products where we're going to be summarizing the games and the shows and the tools we're building and stuff like that. I'll share this in the chat too, or Rosmari shared it already, but I just it's not quite ready yet, so please don't share it like publicly yet, but it'll be much more ready by like next week. But you can learn more about it there, and there's also a bunch of tabs where you can learn about like all the cool stuff that we're planning on doing. We're planning on curating a lot of the fractal stuff we've been doing in tools. You can check out, for example, a blog section where some of the articles I showed you, as well as a lot of the articles that Rosmari's been writing and I've been editing and providing feedback for in the Eden Fractal show notes. It's still like working on getting it together, but for example, you can see from the 66th meeting. We have like that video as well as the article where we went into more detail about this. So working on explaining fractals and introducing Eden Fractal well to the optimism community. And then, I also put together a metrics page too, because one of the things that they ask for in the Optimism Retro PGF is like, what metrics can you show to show that you provide a positive impact to optimism? And so this is still also work in progress, but I have different pages for like hosting events focused on optimism, like we've been focusing a lot here at Eden Fractal, and also promoting it and doing impression and getting impressions and making videos and stuff like that. So each one of these have different things that you can learn about, although they're all pretty like early stage. I'll show maybe in more detail next week, but if you want to check it out, optimistics.io/metrics, and you can find it there. That's the main thing as far as the optimism stuff. Encourage everybody to join, and happy to go more into it in detail after my Respect Game contribution. But also I participated in the Aquadac meeting this week. This is edencreators.com/Aquadac, and Douglas has great websites that are curated here. And then Rosmari shared this, and I mostly listened, and I provide some helpful feedback about super tools and AI tools and stuff that are helpful to build. But I've been enjoying participating and helping out with Aquadac and sharing some cool tools there, helping out fractals. Looking forward to Gudasol and the Fractal Palooza. And then, like we discussed before, I also participate in the open mic night as well. And then lastly, maybe one or two more quick things. I worked on this agenda stuff. I thought about this a lot to just refine the schedules for Eden Fractal meetings, which I'll go into in a bit more detail, but basically just make it more snappy and punctual and stuff like that. And then also I put together the topics that I showed you before, and have just been working each week to provide a good list of topics and keep up with everybody's work and feature the most helpful parts where it is helpful. That is that for my presentation, and I hope you all enjoyed. And if anybody has any questions or comments for anybody, then feel free to share now. And also I see Tadas, I think, shared the Fractogram group. We're a couple minutes past the top of the hour, but we started a little bit late too. And so we have time for questions or comments before we get into Fractogram, if anybody has any thoughts you'd like to share.
I just read briefly Tadas's article just a moment ago, and I think that's a very interesting idea, and that has been that same concept, maybe not all the details, but the same idea has been swirling around my head for weeks, if not months, and I think I've got something to contribute to that with regard to DNews. I think there's a role where I think the role to play for to serve other fractals and the greater community. So I totally agree with that idea. One of the ideas that I've had is that one revolves around tools, and I think that's part of what you were suggesting, Tadas. I'm not sure, but I think that's what people are hungry for, is different tools and services for DAOs, and that's what I've been trying to push UpScale to do. And then they decided that they wanted to be an ambassador program, and now that everybody's gone and not showing up to the work group meetings, they're now introducing products and services for DAOs. So it's a very strange dynamic that's going on over there. Either way, I think this needs to happen. And frankly, I think this group here is eminently more qualified, because this is where all the software has been developed since Larimer is not with us in our community anymore, and this is where so many different other fractals have been born from. So I think it's a great idea. I'm interested to know. I'm not sure. I guess the other side of the feedback would be, I'm not sure about higher level. I guess that's not really the most important thing, but I don't see it as being higher in terms of hierarchy, in terms of power. I think of it maybe as a more central, let's say, where information is passing through, but not central in terms of power. but just information and power and not power, but tools and services that are going outward. So I think of it just mentally as more of a flat orientation relative to other fractals, not necessarily a higher one. And the reason I say that is because I think the natural tendency for I guess humans or just whoever seeks power is to try to get things underneath them. And right. And so we have to, I'm not saying that we should never do that and that's, you know, under all circumstances, but we have to be conscious about that, where we're allowing a parent organization to control us. So the same would be true for fractals if we really accept the concept of a higher fractal versus, I don't know how else to word it except central. So that's my feedback on that, and I really appreciate you thinking of that. And it's amazing that we're, without even discussing it, we're on the same wavelength, Tadas. Thanks. Tadas?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that too, and you touched some fascinating points here, and I would love to discuss more. Maybe we can do it either in the chat, or you can leave comments in the I think in Notion, where I publish these posts. Yeah, or maybe in the main room, we'll see. But yeah, yeah. But now we have to reach consensus right then.
Yep, that's right. Thanks, Perry, for sharing your thoughts. And yeah, I'd be happy to dive deeper into this when we start playing Cagendas, and maybe we'll come to consensus in the next 5 minutes or so, or 10 minutes, or however long it takes, and then we'll get back into that topic. Thanks for sharing your thoughts, Perry. And so far, there's been 4 people who joined the Fractal group. We're missing Eric and Perry. So Eric and Perry, could you please join the Fractal group? Tadas has shared the link in the Zoom chat. And in the meantime, if anybody had any questions or like some questions or relatively short comments about just focus on the contributions, if you want to clarify anything like that for the purpose of respect game, then now would be a good time to share. And then for more detailed discussions, then I suppose it's best to save that for after we come to consensus.
Okay, I'm in Telegram. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome. Thank you, Perry. And now we're just waiting on Eric, who has now joined. We're all here. And everybody can enter your EOS account as a reply to the message now. This is going to be a really difficult one to choose. It often is. Seems like it's more difficult every week almost to choose who should be level 6 and 5 and 4 and so forth. But thanks everybody so much for all the awesome work. What's up, Eric?
I'm not looking for any credit at this point, so don't worry about me, guys. I'm not. That's not why I'm here this week. I'll be back when DNews is released for massive points. I'll be asking for like 100 points that week.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm looking forward to that release. Sounds really exciting.
Yeah, so far it's all, the votes are all over the place.
Yeah, we're just missing a vote from Perry so far, I think.
No.
Oh, okay, my bad. I'll refresh it to see who voted.
Yeah, so I voted for Eric, and I urge others to vote for him because of all the unconference events and Fractal Palooza as well. I'm very interested in that. That's like that's like basically what we are, similar direction to where I'm going as well with higher order fractals as well. So,
well, since I voted for you, I'll respect your wishes.
Okay, and thanks for sharing. So yeah, I was trying to decide who to vote for. I wound up voting for Tadas, because I think that you did super, super helpful work. But with both this higher order fractal article, I'm really excited to learn more about this, and I think it's going to be very helpful. And then also all your work with Optimism Fractal. I know you also did get level 6 in Optimism Fractal too, so that's something to consider. I was thinking about voting for Rosmari as well, because she also did wonderful work, like promoting and then editing like a bunch of videos and doing great show notes and stuff like that. And I thought of voting Eric too, but one thing I did think about with regards to Eric is that Eric has done a great job so far promoting the Fractal Palooza event and organizing everything like that, but generally this is mostly about retroactive rewarding of work. And so I was thinking maybe I would save giving Eric level 6 after next week's or after this week's event to see how it goes and stuff like that. I'd also be open to voting for Eric too if y'all think it's best, but that's the reason why I voted for Tadas, and it was close between Tadas and Rose for me. So but I also really appreciate what Eric is doing, of course, as well as Evgeny and Perry too.
Well,
so
this is not to promote myself, but in theory, you give credit for work too.
yes,
So it's not to do that, but in future, when I evaluate people, I go, yeah, whether it was successful or not, that's worth something. Of course, when somebody does something successful, it's worth more. But for example, if Tadas worked on coding, I would say that's significant, even if it's not released yet.
I completely agree, and that's a good point.
Well,
And
under that, I should be like getting sixes all week.
Well, yeah, if you could tell us what you worked on, then sure.
Yeah, I could tell you, but I don't want to.
You just say, well, that's what I mean. Since you won't tell us, we can't give you credit for what you won't tell us about.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, so well, I'd be open to switching for Eric, and I see Perry and Tadas are still voting for Eric. I think there's been some change to votes now. Tadas has 3 votes from me, Rosmari, and Evgeny as well, and then Eric is voting for me. So, does anybody else want to share their thoughts and try to sway everybody to who they think should be level 6, or does anybody else want to repeat? For the record, I'd be happy to go either way, basically.
Rosmari created chaos. She's the troublemaker this time. Yeah.
I voted for Tadas because he's been very proactive with everything. He's been helping with the marketing, missions, also these higher order articles that he wrote. I look forward to reading them soon, and all the engagement in the chats for organizing the Optimism Fractal application, and just being very active. So, and for the coding, of course, and it all worked perfectly on Friday when we tested it.
Okay, you convinced me. I vote for myself.
Okay. That is true. Yeah, the tools did work well. And shout out to Vlad. I'm sorry, Perry, what were you saying?
I was just saying I'm a child. I'm too easily swayed.
All right. So
I think we have consensus. I think we have consensus. No?
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now level 5.
Okay. Oh my God, we're gonna do it again.
I like Perry's announcing.
my play-by-play. Okay. Oh yeah, just like in the horse races.
Yeah, that
Okay.
there could be like a commentator, like live stream, and someone would commentate.
Yeah.
Sports commentator.
I thought about that a lot.
We've got Dan in the lead. Let me ask you this, Tadas. Does this thing, when the consensus is reached, does it stop, or it can be reversed even after consensus is reached?
It actually can be reversed.
Okay, so it's just informational. It's just
yes, it's just a tool to help community like build consensus, not determine it.
Okay, all right. Well, I think the answer. Oh, good Lord, who's causing these problems here? Who's voting for me? It's Eric's turn. Come on. Ah, thank you. Good God. Wrong horse in the lead. Okay. Okay. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that looks like consensus. No, is that consensus? There's consensus. I guess we have.
Yes, now we have consensus on Eric.
Okay, cool. Thanks everybody for the respect, by the way. Yeah, shared with me before.
Hello.
Hello, hello. So far, there's 5 voters in for level 3.
I voted for Perry.
Okay, but it looks like 4 people voted for you, Rosmari, including Perry.
Excellent.
Which is like pretty wild because Rosmari did like tremendous work. She edited like 10 videos this week and did an amazing amount of work. So
none of this is fair.
What's that?
None of this is fair. Yeah, none of it is fair.
Well, it's long-term respect there, and we're all doing a lot. So
that's true. That's true.
And just go to show what everybody else is, whatever he's doing. So,
well, that's an interesting point. If we have a bunch of people that are contributing a lot, theoretically, you would hope or assume that there would be contributions to this group. So people who may even be at the lower half of the ranking could still be making good money because the contributions are higher. So we're kind of playing in a playground here where things are not necessarily realistic, but I think it's worth continuing to play this the way we are because we're learning. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who was delegate last week? Was that me? I don't remember.
I'm going to check the spreadsheet now to see who's delegate.
I think I became delegate last week. Yeah.
We reached consensus on level 2, by the way. So thank you, Evgeny, and thank you, Perry. Thank you, everybody, very much. And as for delegate last week, has this been updated to Tadas, or should I check the blockchain to confirm? I see in 54, Perry and Tadas were elected as delegates, but I don't know if that was this week or last week. I'll check the account.
Yes, I just checked it. It was from last week.
Yeah. So I'm out. I don't need another one.
Me too. So also Dan has two positions. Rosmari has one.
Yes, but my one is running out next week.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I'd be happy to vote for Rosmari as a delegate. Is anybody else interested in running, or should we vote for Rosmari?
Is Evgeny in there? Does
Evgeny
he want to?
Could be.
No, thank I don't think I have enough experience and my English not ready for this.
Okay. Well, your English is quite good and you're quite experienced. So if you're interested in being a delegate in future week, Evgeny, I'd be happy to hear it. But I'm happy to vote for Rosmari for this week. And we have consensus. I started the action or started the button. So once Tadas posts consensus results, then we can all click it there and everything should work smoothly. So please put that up on chain when you get the opportunity after Tadas posts that. And thanks everybody for the awesome respect game. Big round of applause for everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And I suppose that we'll get into the Cagendas. We only have 40 minutes left because Eric's got the event going on at 18 UTC, and very excited for the Fractal Palooza coming up, but we want to make sure we wrap it up in time so that we can smoothly transition over to the Fractal Palooza. And so I suppose that we'll just get into the Cagendas game. And yeah, normally we post it on consortium, but this week I actually didn't have a chance to put it on consortium. So if anybody did put a topic on consortium, then that would take priority over any of the topics I had up there. So I didn't check it yet to see if anybody did, but I'm assuming I don't think anybody did. So if anybody did, or really if anybody has any topic that you really want to discuss first, then feel free to take the lead here and let us know whatever is on your mind. But otherwise, I suppose I'll just do a little quick screen share and I'll recap the topics I had on the agenda before that I gave a little preview of, and then we can take it from there and see what topics we want to dive into deeper. I know, for example, Perry expressed a lot of interest in diving deeper into the higher order fractals, which we could discuss here. We could also discuss that in text, and as Tadas said, that you can comment in the Notion there too. But would be happy to discuss that or any of the topics. We have lots of exciting things to discuss. So feel free to jump in if there's anything on your mind. If not, then I'll start a screen share in a moment and recap the topics in the agenda. And yeah, we could just also play it by ear if anybody wants to jump in and dive into any topics deeper if I'm sharing the presentation.
I'm curious to know how you feel about this idea that Tadas has put forth. Have you read that article?
I've read probably like half it. I've skimmed over it and I've read in detail like half it, but I don't have a full understanding of everything yet. So I'm interested in reading. I wanted to read it all, but it's just been like a crazy busy week with trying to get the application out for it to PGF and trying to search other websites and like that. So normally I would have just like dove into it and read it all right away. But I'm not totally informed, but from what I understand, I like it very much and it sounds very interesting. And yeah, I think it's a really helpful idea. I also see a lot of value too in like the weekly meetings with people giving their personal contributions as well, or people sharing what they personally did. And I think Tadas agrees with that. But I think that there's definitely room for like an event or a fractal that has events where people are sharing what they did with their fractal or with their group or with their community, and then coming to represent their community. And then it's kind of like the Fractal Palooza in many ways, and I think we could do that on a more recurring basis. And I think that'd be awesome. And it also reminds me a little bit of the original conception of teams in the Fractally white paper too. By the Fractally team, they had this idea that people could form teams with I think up to 12 people, and basically people wouldn't just be representing their own work during these fractal condensed games, the respect game, but they'd be presenting their entire team's work. And so I think that's really valuable, and I think there's a lot of really great points that Tadas makes there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to also diving in deeper and leaving comments on the Notion page and Telegram and so forth to get into all the other details, all the exciting details. And I'm really excited in general that Tadas has shared another idea that seems super inspiring and super helpful with us.
So when I was looking at the Art Fractal, I realized that in the real world, I wasn't going to get more than an hour times. So we came up with a workflow that alternates between the consensus and Cagendas every other week, does an hour. And the delegates run that get chosen 1 week, have to set up the Cagendas.
Yeah, I remember discussing it with you, Eric, as we were planning, or as you were planning the Art Fractal, and I was just helping to provide some feedback and discussing a lot of the early meetings. I'd be curious at some point to learn like any updates, because I'm not totally sure the status is of Art Fractal, but I agree. I think there's a lot of room for.
I hear some of that will come across at Fractal Palooza, is what I heard.
Oh, all right. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Good interesting segue promotion.
Fractal Palooza is for.
All right, excellent. Right, which is also related to the higher order fractals in some way as well. So yeah, I'm stoked about that. And yeah, I agree. There's a lot of room for experimentation. So far, we've been kind of keeping it simple with one specific form of fractal, and like this one kind of pretty similar system that we've been going with, meeting with both the Cagendas and the respect game, but we've seen lots of iterations with different communities like Aquadac and AW Fractal and so forth. And with the Art Fractal, for sure, you can separate it from week to week basis as far as.
But there's kind of two things that organizations need to keep going and grow, and one of them is constant wins. So the fact that we do delegates and get tokens, whatever fractal you're in, gives you these constant wins. But the other thing, in order to keep people here and engaged, is you need unstoppable momentum, which means that when you finish one thing, it needs to move on to another thing, which means to move it on to another things. So the other reason we did that is because you have to move ahead on making decisions and getting deliveries, so that you have this roadmap that you're on a journey, as opposed to you come to the same place. Now, social, come together, fine, we're still here. But if you want to get that big growth, people have to feel like there's some momentum, and that comes from making and executing decisions and saying, oh, look, it worked. Just a thought is the other reason why I talked about alternating, is because, you know, you feed the constant wind and then you feed the unstoppable momentum. There's more to it than that. I could talk about that all day, but
those are good points. The thing I like about Tadas's suggestion is that it addresses the things. It's basically saying, it's basically harnessing the things we're doing naturally. So I've learned that it's much easier to get things done if you take something, whether it be a tool or whatever it is. You know, you could be I guess the best example, and I hate to make a metaphor with us as animals, but it's best to take a dog. If you choose a dog that has the right traits, to train it correctly into what you want it to do. So you choose things that are already doing what you want naturally. And so our group is naturally building tools and naturally sharing news. So that point that he made, that I think is really, it really speaks the loudest to me. If we can somehow institutionalize that, so to speak, or you know, make that really our official mission and focus, then every time Tadas comes out with a new tool, or myself, I come out with a new service, whatever the case may be, or we're sharing significant news with each other, those are wins. Those are wins for us, and we're actually contributing to the greater community, which is already happening. I mean, that's how all these other fractals have gotten started. Most of them had experience here in this room. So I think I think it deserves a lot of our attention over the next weeks. I hope it does. I hope we can talk about that and move in that direction. I think that's great. Yeah, and I'm very curious. I don't know if anybody has any information as to what the Psinq group, the Dan Larimer-led Psinq group, is doing. And does anybody have any information? I think Vlad said he thought that they.
Well, Gregory Wexler shows up at Fractal Palooza, you'll know more. But
as in a half an hour from now. As in a half an hour from now.
Yes. So Gregory is tentatively planning to show up at that.
Oh, okay.
But the bottom line is they're about ready to launch with, I think, 3 or 4 groups. I'm trying to get them to add a group for the real world community with the Art Fractal stuff I'm doing. So they're talking about that. And I talked to them about gaming. How about launch a gaming group? But they've developed their tools. Their tools just have you log in using the normal login ways. Google, Apple, Facebook. I know you can log in with Google, and you're just ready to go. The tools are there, they're all integrated.
And do you get a sense of the timing of the release?
Yeah, like now.
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
Before the end of the year. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, that's good to hear. Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting. It could give everybody a big boost.
But while it can be attached to a chain, it doesn't have to be, which is important for me to start.
It can't really. Okay.
It can, but it doesn't have to be. It's written so you can write that right to a chain, but it's not a requirement.
Okay. Have you had a chance to see it, or you're learning?
I have not, but I have talked to the people directly.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I'll be excited to find out whether Wexler's whether he's there or not. But yeah, so that's in a half an hour. Fantastic. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much, Eric, for organizing that and coordinating that. And thanks, Perry, for sharing all the thoughts. I learned some new stuff about Psinq there. I've been following, like I read all their blog posts on Psinq.com and their Substack. And then I've been in touch with James Mart a bit here and there. But I haven't heard much from Gregory and most of the team members. So seeing what they've been building with their team for just about a year now since the general process Fractal stopped, I'm sure that both Psinq and Sybase, they're building some really, really exciting stuff that we'll be able to use and will help a lot of communities out a lot. So I'm very excited to learn more. All right, cool. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this topic, or anything else you want to bring to the attention of the group, or any questions or comments? Or should I go ahead and maybe share a little overview of the other topics I had? Maybe that could spark some thoughts. Or I don't know if Tadas, you wanted to go more into detail with the higher order fractals. We brought up that a little bit too.
The last comment, I guess this is commenting on Perry's excellent comments. So the thing is, if you go feed a lot of things and they grow and occasionally you get a win, that's really good, but it doesn't feel, it's kind of like if people went off and played basketball. What's the scoreboard? So for example, if we're saying, what are we promoting? Oh, Tadas's thing, Vlad's things, and you're getting kind of a score of, oh, we're focusing, this is the development, how can we help them with that? This is development, how can we help them with that? So if there's a scoreboard, it feels more like an unstoppable win than if we're, you know, throwing pebbles in the water and saying, oh, look at the wave we created somewhere down the line. So it can't just be momentum, it has to feel like momentum. Can't just be a win, it has to feel like a win.
I'm not sure if I know the distinction. Are you talking about it needs to feel like a win, meaning it needs to make you money? Or,
no,
which is not bad.
Wait, you just, no, it just needs to be, I mean, just an example of that. Imagine people played basketball and they did great shots and they did it. And oh, look at that, great. And a lot of great events happened in the basketball game. It doesn't feel like a win because there's no scoreboard. So what is it that makes the basketball game exciting? Well, the play, but it doesn't feel like play unless there's a scoreboard there.
Yeah, that creates the intensity.
Right. It concentrates all that down into an event. So, you know, if they played basketball and then you get the score, imagine they played basketball, but you only got the score a month later. It just doesn't, it doesn't feel, because you didn't see anything happen during that time. You just said, oh yeah, here's the score. Here's the final score of that game.
Well, I don't think anybody's talking about taking away the rankings and getting points, whether those are associated with monetary rewards.
No, I'm saying we have a updated scoreboard for us, but for the events, things, projects like what Tadas is doing, we don't have a scoreboard. We hear about it, it goes, and that's great.
Okay.
Like if you do Optimism, when you submit that, you have to say, here's what our score counter looks like. How are you going to track that?
Well, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same thing. Maybe we are. Maybe it's related, just different angles of the same thing.
It doesn't have to be a big. It's just we have to tell the stories about what we're doing, so you have a roadmap and people can see it. Rather than saying, "Oh, Dan and Rosmari are doing a media trip across the country," and then we go, and he's going to go from East Coast to West Coast, end up in San Diego, of course, because that's the best. And then all of a sudden you see Dan and Rosmari end up in San Diego. We're all happy. But where's when they stopped off at Oklahoma City and Nebraska and
Okay. Well,
even if we throw them out once in a while and say, oh, by the way, Rosmari and Dan are here. If you don't see that map and see, pin it along the map, it's not as exciting. It doesn't feel as much like we're there with them and it's a win.
I see. You're speaking, I think, more of a kind of a promotional marketing angle.
A communication thing, not we know that Tadas is going out every week and kicking butt along with a lot of other people, along with what you're doing. We know that, but
well,
we
at
don't
some point,
compare to like, oh, here's a win. We go, that's good, and we're all behind it.
Well, here's my perspective, Eric.
I just want to throw in one thing, Perry. Tadas has hands raised, and he's
Oh,
had it for a little while.
Sorry.
So maybe we should go to Tadas first. But I'm very interested to hear perspective to Perry. So I don't know if I suppose first we should patch Tadas, and then maybe come back to you, Perry, with that.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. No problem.
Okay.
Didn't see that.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe just raise your hand in case anyone else wants to talk. So we have.
Yeah. So
for me, it seems, Eric, what you're talking about is that we need a scoreboard, not just an inner scoreboard for like ranking each other like we do, but also a scoreboard for what we achieve as a group.
Yeah, the projects that we support as a group.
Yes, exactly, and that creates a kind of feeling of momentum for a group as a whole, like, because right now we are just sharing what we do on our own, and I guess we don't have that, like, as much of that sense of achievement as a group.
Yeah, and it allows us to say, where do you need help? It keeps it ab, oh, where are you, Tadas? What do you need next? How can we help? How can we help? What can we do? Is there anything we do? Oh, we can promote this, we can test. What do you need? So it's that kind of, it makes us part of the journey. And by the way, I've already got the other Zoom open for the next event, and both Josh Seymour and Greg Wexler are in. So want to hear about PS?
Excellent.
It's there.
Excellent.
Super cool.
Well, what I wanted to, the distinction that I wanted to make was the idea that some of the things that I would be offering, and then possibly, I don't know exactly the form of the code that Tadas would be offering, but they both could, I think they could both be offered as services. I'm just guessing. I know for sure mine could be offered as a service. And what I'm thinking of as the wins are having other fractals view those services as valuable and well worth paying for. They would say, we are happy to come out of pocket for if we get this service. It makes sense to us. We'll pay this amount of money and we'll get this service. And if we have more than one of those, a number of those services, and we have people who are going out and selling, so to speak, but also maintaining those services, and then they're getting paid here in this group for providing those services. Part of it could be DNews, but let me use DNews just as an example, so you guys get an idea what I'm talking about. I have DNews. I'm producing DNews. I'm coming out with a new version of it that I think is just super duper AI powered and just awesome, and that fractals will look at it and say, wow, this was really helpful. We have to have this, and the price is reasonable, so we're willing to pay it either in our own token, or somehow we'll come up with the fee because it just makes sense. So those fees now come into our group, and I, as DNews, would be willing to share those funds with this group. Why? Well, yes, it's true. I developed DNews and I maintain the website, and I am responsible for updating the code and so on and so forth. But it might be members in this group that found the fractal, or identify, or are a member of that fractal, and are willing to do regular tasks that help maintain that service, namely uploading meeting videos or updating meeting recurring events on a calendar. Those are the two basic tasks. So this is similar to what I had presented months ago. But my product is far more advanced at this point from there. So that's what I'm suggesting is that we actually make it a money-making adventure for our group. That's how we're getting paid, because fractals are willing to pay for the service, and then we are paying ourselves by the ranking process. We're deciding, right, whether who gets paid what. Now, under those circumstances, I would not expect to be number 6 every week, but you know, even though I'm sharing, I'm doing a lot of the work and I created the service, but I wouldn't expect to be number 1 either every week forever, because that means you hate me. So I think it works. I think it can work out. So imagining a fractal where guys like myself are providing these services, and Tadas is providing a service, which, you know, whatever it is, I don't know which one is most likely to emerge, but it's a service, and those services are contracted and sold to other fractals, and they pay a reasonable price for it. And all of us who are assisting and providing that service, maintaining it, we also get paid. Everybody gets paid. So that's what I'm talking about. Those are wins. Is that momentum? I think that's momentum. Is that what you're referring to, Eric? Something like that?
That works. It doesn't matter. I work for a software company. We had millions of customers all over the world, and what I noticed that our fans wanted to come on the ride with us. So we did everything we could to make them feel they were part of the journey. They came in and tested their code with us. They promoted us. They contributed code to us. And so there were we had actually 40 different markets of fans that were communicating with each other. And, you know, they were part of the team, and they wanted to feel that as we came out with our new release every year, they were part of that journey. So I've learned that in other things is it just answers the question, what can you do? What do you want to support as a group? And how do you make the group feel part of that journey? And you can do it by pay. You can do it by inside information or special deals. Here's the thing. There's a lot of ways you could do it. But a lot of what we did was just said, here's the roadmap. We made it very clear where we're going next, and where we are on that journey. And every time we could, we thanked people for helping us get on their journey. In fact, once a year, we gave awards for who has helped us. And that was a big deal from them. I mean, they get pictures and paper, they put it in all their things. So that I'm just saying, people have to feel, there's one thing that's a social group, which is we like each other, we talk. There's another thing, if you want to attract people, is what's the journey, you know, and give us some map and make us feel part of that journey. It doesn't have to be really hard. We're not talking about build a lot of codes and things.
It sounds like what you're talking about is the promotion of the future, which is totally valid, a roadmap, and get excited, and this is where we're going. That's awesome. I totally support that. What I'm referring to is like, what can we offer today? What will they pay for today? What will pay us today?
But
I think the combination is
that's a journey right there. We have this thing. How do we get paid for it? That's a journey right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you can't get paid. You can't do what you're doing right now. So it's not today. Maybe next week, maybe a month from now, maybe months from now. But that's what we're talking about, is what journey are we on and where are we? And you're just proposing another journey. these journeys don't have to be 10 years in the making. They can be.
Yeah, but I want to be very clear about this. I'm not suggesting that other fractals pay us on what we are proposing to do. I'm suggesting that they pay us for what we actually deliver week to week or month to month, whatever the frequency is. I'm using actual services, actual paid
to
services.
be able to do that, to be able to do that together as a journey.
So
I'm not dismissing what you're saying. I think they coexist, right?
So Perry and Eric, I'm really appreciating the conversation. It's fascinating. But also I know Tadas has hands up, and also I also have some stuff I want to share too. And we have about 14 minutes left or so until the end of the meeting. So I also don't want to interrupt or cut you off, but I just wanted to put it out there because Tadas has been waiting patiently. Is there anything else you wanted to add on there, Perry or Eric, on that, or should we pass it to Tadas now?
Off in about 5 minutes because I'm already the channel and getting that up ready for Fractal Palooza.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. Thank you, Eric, for letting us know, and I'll you feel free to drop off whenever you need, and then I'm looking forward to seeing you there in about 15. Perry, was there anything else you wanted to add there before we pass it on to Tadas, or can we pass it on to Tadas and then I'll go next?
No, thank you. I think I expressed it. Thank you.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you very much for sharing the thoughts. Tadas?
Yeah, so just wanted to say about higher order fractals. I think that's they can provide that kind of scoreboard literally for different groups of people, different fractals, because like the smaller fractals will know that in like few months they will have to present what they have done as a group, and we will get like a score for it, basically, compared to other fractal. Yeah, so besides that, I'm also thinking about, this is a different topic, like how a group of developers could use something like a fractal system. I think there might need be some changes. But yeah, basically, how do you get Fractal more focused than we currently have now? Because currently, like, everyone is mostly doing their own projects and so on. And yeah, but if Fractals would be able to be project based and more focused, that would I think that would make the higher order fractal idea even more better, because simply the presentations are more likely to be about some kind of unified product instead of like lists of what different people did.
Great points. Thank you very much, Das. And yep, oh, I see Evgeny said you had to go, so thank you very much, Evgeny. And yeah, really looking forward to exploring more how fractals can coordinate and collaborate, and how the higher order fractals can help with that. I also have some ideas too, so I don't know if you want to share anything more about that to Das. If anyone wants to respond to Das, then feel free to jump in, but otherwise maybe I'll jump in because we also only have like 12 minutes, and I'll share a couple of thoughts on my mind that are related to both these. Well, one thing I wanted to say, and maybe I'll start sharing my screen, is that I think that this idea about harder fractals and building momentum that people can rally around, like kind of a score. It also reminds me of stuff we talked about with respect trees and also signals too. And I think it as like a roadmap, but we can think of it kind of like a fractal roadmap, where it's like the roots basically of where we're like growing, where we're expanding to, and the seeds that we're launching of new fractals. So you can see with respect trees, for example, where in the respect trees like you are at that point and where you're going forward, and things like signals and stuff could potentially help with that. Maybe it's kind of out there for now, but I can also bring it down more to earth in the future. But I feel like we have the ways where we can now vote and have much more coordination capacity to be able to decide, okay, what are our priorities, and what are the things that we're shooting for on our roadmap, what are our milestones and so forth. And those are kind of like the different points in the roofs or different routes that we're planting and stuff like that. So thanks, Eric, for sharing the inspiration there, and I'm loving how this is all coming together with the higher order fractals and Fractal Palooza and stuff. I suppose I'll just go ahead and just share my screen, and just because I think there's also 3 other topics I wanted to bring up too. Very curious to hear people's thoughts about that. But a couple topics I wanted to just maybe put out, and then we can produce the video and people can think about it before next week or in the future. But a couple things I wanted to just put out there. So I'll go ahead and do that now. I hope I'm sharing the right screen here. I have 2 of the same screens that look the same right now. So hold on 1 second, please. Make sure I'm opening the right one. Okay, cool. So yeah, I showed you most of these topics before that I put in the agenda, and we discussed most of them enough, and we can discuss them more in details. But a couple things I wanted to bring up briefly before we wrap up this meeting is, one, I wanted to go over the idea about the new schedule and agenda for Eden Fractal. I already said that, but just wanted to briefly reiterate, in future weeks, we're going to be starting next week. I'm going to put a message as well, but we're going to start at 16 UTC rather than 15:30 UTC. And then we'll also end at 18 UTC. Pretty soon there's going to be daylight savings. So I think this has a lot of reasons that will be helpful. So it's not so early for people, and we'll have time to be able to coordinate with Eric's event and other events. We won't be on calls for too long. I think that's much better. If anybody has any thoughts about this, then feel free to share. We also have more details from last year. About this time we decided at edencares.com/time. But just want to put that out there, and we'll also be working to get it more organized as far as when we start and wrap up the presentations, and sticking closer to like the 4 or 5 minutes that people share in the respect game, because I think that we're going to be entering opportunity with a lot of growth and excitement. I mean, there's already been a lot of growth and excitement, but also new people joining. And so we want to have a really structured event for new people who are joining. I see Eric said, see everyone at Fractal Palooza. So very much looking forward to that. Coming up in about 10 minutes or so. But before that, one thing I also wanted to share too, that I was speaking about with Rosmari over this past week or so, was this idea of the growing optimism with Eden Fractal videos. And perhaps I should have brought this up more earlier, and I can bring it up again next week. But I encourage everybody to check out these videos. These are like short clips, and we talked about this back in week 57 about, like, I put out a poll about like how people feel about having their videos shared, like short clips and stuff like that. And so we also talked about like agreements too and ideas about that, but we just want to make sure we're respecting everybody's privacy, or how much everybody wants to be like recorded and shared, while at the same time we also want to and need to promote what we're doing in Fractals. And so I figured the best way to do it. So this is something to consider, and most of these clips are mostly me talking with a couple questions here and there, but just want to put it out there that we put these clips out there and everybody can watch them. So I encourage you to do so. And then if anybody has any thoughts about the best way to do this, then feel free. But basically we're working on this, and I'll share more details next week. Also wanted to share the Eden Fractal video that we released a few weeks had the most views that we ever had on Eden Fractal video. It currently has like 160 views, something like that. And so pretty soon we'll be up there, way more I think, but really cool to see more people figuring out about Eden Fractal, and really excited for our future as we grow. So I just want to throw that out there. And then also regarding Perry's points too about like funding, we were working on a business model. We are working on a business model with Optimystics too that would be great if we're able to reward people for participating in Fractal meetings with the Retro PGF. Right now, there's no guarantee that we'll earn from Retro PGF. So it's still kind of up in the air, and also there's like legal stuff that we're trying to figure out, but that's something that potentially could be helpful. But for right now, there's no rewards like in terms of funding for these fractals, but it would be excellent to have funding for fractals. So just wanted to put that out there because it might kind of relate to the other stuff that we're doing with videos and everything like that. And then for future weeks, I'm also really excited to get some of the other topics too. For example, Optimism Season 5 opportunities. I'm planning to apply for the Optimism Grants Council. If people are looking for funding, there's lots of opportunities here where you can work within the Optimism ecosystem. And there's quite a lot of places where you can earn decent funding while helping out and doing stuff that's really interesting, pioneering public goods and so forth. So in case anybody wants to check this out, I know that the Grants Council applications, I think they're open for another week. So if anybody wanted to look into this, and you can, feel free to reach out to me. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to Gudasol. You can check out the video of the Aquadac mastermind that we talked about yesterday too, or that we had yesterday. We talked about it earlier. So those are kind of the ideas that I wanted to bring up. I also had a couple other links here about respect trees, because I mentioned that in relation to the idea of how we can coordinate and like figure out a better roadmap and ways to coalesce around goals together and have that kind of point system that we're all working towards together. So EdenCreators.com/respect trees, and there's a video here, EF60 respect trees, and EdenCreators.com/signals, where you can learn more about how these might work together. And I encourage you all to check out Tadas's post in t.me/EdenFractal to learn more about the higher order fractals as well, and leave some comments and share your thoughts, as well as everybody can leave comments here too. So if you have any comments about the change in time or schedule or anything like that for Optimism Fractal, then feel free, or about the growing optimism with Eden Fractal videos. And lastly, I just wanted to once again encourage people to check out check out Optimism Fractal. Check out optimismfractal.com. It's still a work in development, but there's lots of helpful resources here, as well as the RSVP and details. You can learn more about what we're doing, growing optimism with Optimism Fractal. And I encourage you all to join the Optimism Fractal event. In addition to Eden Fractal events every Wednesday at 16 UTC, we're now starting to host these Optimism Fractal every Monday at 17 UTC. Everybody's invited, everybody's welcome to join. It's focused on helping optimism, but it's also an excellent opportunity for all people who are interested in fractal communities and growing fractals to grow fractals with optimism. I see there's huge benefits and synergies there for everybody here and probably everybody watching. So encourage you to join. You can join the Discord too to learn more. Feel free to ask any questions here in the Eden Fractal meetings, or in the Telegram, or in the Discord. And then you can find this link at lu.ma/optimismfractal. And I also encourage you to watch our first video, Welcome to Optimism Fractal, where we had the first meeting, so you can learn more about Optimism Fractal there and what we're doing, and also see a little introduction about what we're doing with the Optimistics team too. So I hope to see you all there. We're also thinking about hosting an Eden Town Hall, like special edition, on Monday, maybe before or after the event. And that can be a way where, because Optimism Fractal events will just be 1 hour long, they're quite short and to the point with Respect Game, but also maybe we'll have an extra half hour, an hour show just to kind of go over some of the benefits and stuff. And I'll share more details with the chat and encourage you all to check it out and join. And we'd love to see you there. It'd be really great for Optimism Fractal and what we're doing to show up with some of the Eden Fractal community members, so we can help convey all the knowledge that we've learned over the past years and past weeks and months, and all the amazing things that people are doing, and help spread what we're doing with fractals, and help out the optimism community, and help launch Optimism Fractal in an amazing way. So please feel free to reach out with any questions, and we'd be happy to see you there. And then lastly, also, I encourage everybody to join the Fractal Palooza first event that Eric has organized, as he discussed. You can find the link to this. I don't know if he shared the link in the Eden Fractal Telegram chat, but if not, then I will forward this message. He posted in Fractalian Worlds, so I'll forward it into the Eden Fractal Telegram chat, so you can find it there. Looking forward to hearing more from Eric about the Art Fractal, and Dwayne about the AW Fractal. We'll talk more about the Optimism Fractal and Eden Fractal, talk about Prime Law Society with Joshua. Joshua is working with really exciting stuff with the Prime Law, which is it's a wonderful kind of one commandment that can help people cooperate peacefully. Hear updates from Psinq with Gregory, and hear updates from Space Ranger Joe about Upland Fractal. So that's that for my presentation here. We only have a few minutes left, so we could just wrap it up now, or if anybody has any last minute thoughts, then would be happy to hear from you. Any thoughts?
I'm ready to wrap up and drop into the Palooza and see what we learn with all those guys. So thank you, Dan. Thank you for doing this every week. And I appreciate you and Rosmari for making all this happen for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Perry. I appreciate you greatly as well. I see Tadas gave a thumbs up too. I think he was ready, and he just snuck out into the Fractal Palooza. I saw you also, Joe said thanks guys with praying peace kind of sign, hand gesture emoji in the chat. So it looks like Joe's over there too. But yeah, Perry, I really appreciate you sharing all your thoughts and all your support. So thanks so much, and I'm ready to go there too. And thanks, Rosmari, of course. It's been wonderful working with you and seeing both you and everybody who's been joining. Thanks everybody so much for watching us here at Eden Fractal. We got a clap from Perry. Thank you so much. This is something we tried at Optimism Fractal, was we had this idea about growing optimism. So and then we said grow Optimism Fractal, and I kind of looked at it for Eden Fractal too, like grow Eden Fractal as opposed to go Eden Fractal, because kind of like growing like fractals and stuff. So if you want, we could try it out. I'm just putting it out there. But also I'm curious if Rosmari, you have any last thoughts before we wrap up?
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so I suppose we can wrap it up. We're already then. And if you all want to join, we could say peace and love to the universe. Thanks everybody for watching so much.
That's what it's about. Peace and love. Yeah.
Peace and love.
Yeah, the world. That's what the world needs right now. Peace and love.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Very well said. Well, thanks so much, Perry. Thanks so much, Rosmari. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. See you at Fractal Palooza, growing Eden Fractal, growing fractals, wonderful things that we're doing to grow peace and love. Thanks everybody, and see you next time.
See you. Bye now. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Rosemary.
Hi, Barry.